Happy Thursday. As I walked out over London Bridge, one misty morning early, I overheard a fair, pretty maid. She was lamenting for Geordie. My Geordie will be hanged on a golden chain. It's not the chain of many. He was born of king's royal breed and lost to a virtuous lady. Go bridle me, my milk white steed. Go bridle me, my pony. I will ride to London Court to plead for the life of Geordie. My Geordie never stole no cow nor cow. He never hurted any. Stole 16 of the king's royal deer and sold them in the Wendy. 2 pretty babies have I born. The third lies in my body. Freely part with them, everyone, to spare life, Geordie. The judge looked over his left shoulder. He said, "Dear maid, I'm sorry." He said, "Dear maid, you must be gone, for I cannot save the life of Geordie. Oh, my Geordie will be hanged with a golden chain. It's not the chain of many. He was born of king's royal breed and lost to a virtuous lady. Thank you. Everyone okay? Welcome. How is everyone? Well, a blessed time for everyone. A blessed time. Can everybody hear me and see me okay? Looks like we have been live. Oh, looks like I might have picked the wrong stream. Is that correct? Oh, well, then I must close the other stream. If that is the case. I'm often wrong about such things. Yes. So I will I will tell them on another stream. On another stream. Is that right? All right. So this stream has to go. Don't worry, I'll be with you soon. I shall be with you shortly, darlings. Let me make sure this is okay. Sometimes I open a stream, I don't check the streams. There's multiple streams. Oh, there we go. I'm sorry, darlings. We shall delete this forever, ever and anon. There we go. Sorry. Gonna put this on. Gonna put that on. Oh, you see what I did? Oh, boy. I got so wrapped up in the pretty song, I wound up on the wrong stream. How is everybody? I'm going to wait for everybody to get here. Maybe I'll put a nice picture up. What do you think? Let people know we're here. I apologize for messing that up. I got to playing my guitar. I wound up singing a beautiful rendition of Geordie. And you know, the next thing, I was lost. Anyway, how is everyone? Oops, let me find everything. Almost ready to join everybody while you all find the stream. Well, I think I'm just going to leave it like that because for some bizarre reason, I can't see the cover. But that's okay. I'll find it later. Well, we'll just call it Taco Tuesdays like we always do while people find us. There we go. Nope, it's not Taco Tuesdays. Why did I say Taco Tuesdays? That's silly. I was thinking about Taco Tuesdays. Hot Topics Thursdays. Anybody want to hear any music? Yes? No? Maybe? Well, whatever you guys want to hear. There we go. Now I'm here. Joel, Oh, there was an arrest warrant? Cool. I think Hamas is finished in Gaza. I think the Israelis surrounded the perimeter, like we said. And I think that I think Hamas thought that Israel went crazy because we were, and it was like we remember how I did the remote for you guys, and I told you that they were on the northeast side, and the Israelis showed us the southeast side, and then we didn't hear anything, and then there were negotiations, and then they hit the Indonesia hospital, and then they were headed northeast, and they started flooding tunnels. So logistically, it had to be around that area that the hostages were kept, just logistically, if you look at the lasso. Just gonna move the light. So I think that they had them barricaded around that block. And I think that they started releasing hostages from Shifa via those ambulances. and driving them to Rafah Gate. And I think that's what happened. Now, this last time, they're not even going to Rafah. What's the point? They're on the southeast side. Hamas is on the northeast side of Shifa. So they're just bringing them up and now taking them across the way to the Israeli side. They're not even bothering with the whole show because we know where they're at. They're in that surrounded area. There's bad news, though. So let's do the empath's prayer. Oh, you're very kind. Thank you. I did not straighten it or anything. Okay, let's come together and do the empath's prayer. Okay, I want to call on white light protection for myself and this community as we ask permission from Spirit to access the Akashic records. We call on our spirit guides and our good angels to be with us. Please give us the clarity and the wisdom that is needed to empower all of us on our journeys to make the best decisions for ourselves, our families, the planet, the people we love, but also to help those that we may have strife with. And together collectively we say, Amen. Yeah, I mean, I wanted to do the prayer just because, it's not all good news out in the world right now. And when you hear bad news, you want to be protected. And so the 10-month-old baby, unfortunately, they murdered the baby. The baby is dead. So this is, how can you say you're not a terrorist organization? And that's kind of what's going on. So how can you dismantle people that are that dangerous? Well, it's very, very sad. The whole thing is very, very sad. But I believe that for that reason, Hamas leadership is in shambles. I think a lot has been taken out. And I think that they're surrounded. I mean, I think that some of them may have fled to the south. Some of them may have been able to escape via some existing tunnels. I felt like there was an existing tunnel system west of Rafah, in that area that goes into the ports. And the reason I felt logistically like that would have been built was that you could have had ports that are taking you to pirates or people that are stealing from Port Said. Because when I did a remote, I found myself going to Port Said, the things that were coming into Port Said and going from Port Said through tunnel systems, some of them possibly underwater and then west of Rafah, southwest of Rafah. So if that tunnel system still exists, a lot of it's been flooded by the Israelis, then I would imagine that based on the remotes, Hamas is now fleeing and they're handing over the last of the hostages because Israel's I think energetically, it just feels like they're on the verge of storming. So unfortunately, many did not survive, but many did survive, and that's the good news. And more hostages were released today. How's everybody holding up? Somebody had said to me, well, when you're desperate, I'm a nice Jewish girl, and I've heard all kinds of horror stories about the Holocaust, but I don't remember Jewish people behaving like that. We've definitely been, as a people, very desperate, but I can't imagine us intentionally targeting like civilians or a child or something like that, Well, I've heard there's some rumor. Does somebody want to fill me in? Is something going on with George Santos? Is he getting removed like relatively soon? Does anybody know anything about this? I know we had talked about it the last time. Anybody know anything about this? There's a lot of news today, and yet right now, for some bizarre reason, Oh, that was it. Yeah, Joel. What's crazy about this is that Putin was meeting with Hamas. So it just seems obvious to me that when we started this project, because I wanted to do a public demonstration and because I love performance art, a little bit of a thespian, right? I thought this would be fun, make a little pocket change, whatever. Um, I wanted to show people the power of the human mind, right? Like, how much do we get right? How can we get into each other's brains? Can we get into each other's psyche and predetermine the choices that individual will make? And now when we hear the remote about what Putin and his church and how he believed in his church and how he's going to take over with his church and all this other crazy stuff, um, it just seems like, well, yeah, of course. But yeah, 5 years ago, it was a pretty jarring remote. We had talked about him, the lights. He wanted the lights of the Moscow church to shine upon the St. Petersburg church, and the power of Moscow over the world. I mean, it was really quite. He was on quite a power trip there, but. And so now it's also coming out that unfortunately he was working. It's interesting also that they were working together. Hamas and Hezbollah. Let's take a look now at the arrest warrant for Putin and see, he's just a menace to society, don't you think? He's losing support. It has to do with the where's it at? The economy in Russia. It always shows up the same thing. Let me show you. Poverty, like fairness, right? Justice. And you can see here, he's losing support. 5 of Pentacles is a poverty card. The hope of Russia, the money. Leadership. Let's see what happens. Yeah, I'm seeing he thinks he's strong, but he's looking at civil war. I'm going to show you guys this. Let me show you this first. He has the benevolent guy. He's healthy. I think he's spreading fake rumors. He fidgets, and I think he may be on some type of an amphetamine. That's not the same as Parkinson's. When you fidget, when you've had too much caffeine. His strength card, 6 of Pentacles. What's interesting is that his opposition is leaving him. Takes a leap of faith regarding what? A new beginning. The economy has a new beginning. But look at the leader. The leader he is the leader, right? The head is usually the emperor, and you have Tower over it, which leads me to think that he is such a global threat that they will take him out. I mean, that's pretty cocky when you try to take out, excuse me, I'm going to get my tea. Let me just get this temperature down. So, you're pretty brave if you do something like that and you think Israel's not going to retaliate. I mean, Russia really thinks Israel, excuse me, wouldn't retaliate from 1,300 dead. His days are numbered. Mm-hmm. Aw, Annie, thank you so much. You're so sweet. And thank you to people who donated on the other stream. That was very kind of you. Aw, thank you, Melody. So, what's the story with Scott Perry? Is anybody surprised that Scott Perry has a text like that? Remember, we said 2 or 3 people were going. You say something like that, can you be charged? Should you be charged? Let's take a look. It's good to see you guys. Whoops. I always have my green screen off. Is this right? Is that right? Yeah, that's right. Gotta make it pretty for everybody. Okay, let's see. Scott Perry. He may have done a deal. Is that possible? There's something that's going to be happening in the next 30 days regarding possible charges of people in January 6th. There's a judgment over him. Also, some of these people often come across as having drinking problems, or there's often sobriety cards around them. You know, you look at Donald Trump and some of the stuff that Rachel Maddow, excuse me, Rachel Maddow. I'm sorry, there's resin. There's some resin still. Rosin. You look at some of what Rachel Maddow has said. You have Rudy Giuliani in debt to the Russian mob, borrowing money from AEB Bank, Deutsche Bank. That money had to be paid back. So, doing things that were good for Russia, including pulling US troops out of Afghanistan, Russia, putting troops in Kazakhstan, leaving Israel a sitting duck by not having US troops there. Just like what happened when the US was not in Lebanon and Israel got stuck in Lebanon, right? And we weren't getting the support we needed. And then everybody said, bad Israel, right? Let Israel clean it up. We'll throw some money at you. Then everybody will be mad that we throw money at you, but we won't protect you, right? So so what's the situation is so severe now. Most people don't live in a world where they have safe zone. You know, they have a safe room, right? That's not living, right? So Scott Perry, patience over his issue, but there's a sobriety issue here. He refused to cooperate regarding an investigation on money. See, I think these people are all compromised financially. There's conflict with many of them about not knowing what to do. But within 1 month, see, his cards are power cards, which leads me to think he may be able to get off. I don't know. What do you guys think? I can't believe you can you're a traitor and you attempt to overthrow your government and you're still serving in Congress and you've got health care. Don't you think that's crazy? Oh, hi, Creative Love. Good to see you here. Thanks for your membership. Absolutely crazy. Absolutely cray-cray. Oh, the brother and mother die as well. I don't know, but like now everything's coming to light about the whole thing, and I, we'll see. All right, the latest on Roger Stone. I did it my way. I did it my way. He wants a musical so bad. He said his biggest problem is a female judge right now. He's going back to court. Tower over him. His opposition is Judge Judy, which means he has boundary issues, fear of poverty. See, they all get in debt. They all get in debt and become compromised. A judgment comes against him. He is in his cups, which could indicate a past history again of alcoholism or drug problem. He's going to be taxed. He's going to be, the IRS is going to find, look, remember when I did a remote on Lindsey Graham? And every time I go into the remote on Lindsey Graham, he talks about a party he went to in Nantucket. I always say, la 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 la. I don't want to hear it. So I don't know what he's talking. I don't need to know this. But the more you go into this, it's like it's just one person bribed, one person compromised after another, one person wooed, filmed doing goodness knows what on private islands or whatever. And it's terrible because then you've got a dossier on Lindsey Graham, and then you just pass it on to the next group of people who then he's beholden to forever with this dossier over his head. And that is what you get. You get this energy where Roger Stone, Lindsey Graham, they get into these situations where they get seduced in their cups. Their tower, you got the tower coming, they were in their cups. Judge Judy goes after them. And she's victorious within 1 year from now. What are they afraid of? Oh my God, poverty and being betrayed by their friends. The final outcome is that there is a judgment against them, and who's going after them? My favorite card, female government card, the feds and the IRS. Woohoo! Dun, 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 dun. Oh, judgment and IRS, tax. Well, the money lady, government money lady. You want to talk about judgment? The money, poverty. The judge who has issues with boundaries, you can see here again, had the Ace of Swords over her. His house, the tower. Well, and then also look at his mental state, Seven of Cups. So are we looking at people? Is that what we're looking at? You know, when you look at someone like, whether it's the head of the FBI out of New York meeting with Deripaska, getting 200 and something $1,000 to open up relationship with Turkey under Erdogan, pro-Russian Turkey, right? Turkish stream. Which is the same thing that Flynn got fired for, right? Because they wanted that Turkish stream, right? They wanted to open up And they also, anybody who blocked it, et cetera, et cetera. A lot of money coming from Cyprus, also banks in Cyprus, right? So what's the takeaway there? The takeaway is that everybody turns on everybody, don't they? You know, when you get a card like a tower in their cups, when the Judge Judy is going after you, but the fact that he had a 10 of swords, I think everybody betrayed everybody. And it goes back again to what Joel and I had talked about. I think it was, when was that, Joel? We had talked about the fact that, I think you had brought up the fact that Giuliani meeting, when we had the whole thing about why Giuliani was meeting with the feds and carrying big, he basically seems to have made a deal where he was, handing everything over to whoever to get a lesser sentence. And he's kind of the more, tragic case also. If you look at Giuliani, just what we learn as remote viewers, as professional empaths, because we train people in empathy when I am that person, right? Because an empath does not just observe. We observe, but we also are that at the same times if you do HCRV. But if you look at someone like Rudy Giuliani, he is the slow descent that happens with addiction, whether it's addiction to fame, power, drugs, women, gambling, and then you become a slave to that thing, and then it owns you. And that is ultimately what takes out Rudy Giuliani. It's really very sad when you think, I know, it's rather sad. Yeah, the gold cards, these ones are waterproof because my cards are always getting wet. So, oh, do you think that Giuliani was offered a way out but refused, even though he handed over that huge envelope, Joel? Don't you think that he did hand over a ton of information about the Russia connection? Don't you think? Sorry about that. Don't you think that he was? Let me see, Giuliani. I mean, I just think it's sad what he became, don't you? Yeah, I think of Queen of Pentacles as the hidden queen. She's the feds. The fact that they were digging into his money, and it related to a judgment. Stone and the others are going to get very heavily taxed. There it is again, the tax woman. Investigation. They're basically saying that everyone's broke. It's kind of like what happens to Trump when they go into the Trump organization and they go through everything, and then they start to find out that he's in this situation. So where he's basically compromised. Just telling 1111 that I am live. Okay, so regarding the issue of the corruption, so if you're looking at it just in terms of like how many people were compromised, the long investigation that we talked about, that Flynn and everybody else, what is it, 2012? They said they opened that. You have this hidden investigation that went on for a very, very long time. What makes it interesting to me is that ultimately the downfall is taxation. Even if they don't get him for doing anything illegal with the Russians, what they ultimately take him out is poverty, right? The money man comes. Again, here's this poverty card. So they go into an investigation. Maybe they can't get them on something like treason. So instead, poverty, a new beginning starting for them, and then the FBI taxation again. Here, this juxtaposition again: poverty, the feds, the money people. So, yeah, ultimately, it goes back again also to the remotes, Joel, that we had about the Trump organization is no more, and I think that that's pretty much what we're seeing. I don't know. What do you all think? Guys, any more questions or any feelings about it? Hi, Kathleen O'Malley. Don't you think Kathleen O'Malley, though, Kathleen O'Malley is talking about how there's a long history of corruption with Giuliani? I think that's true, but do you feel like he's become increasingly sicker and sicker, or do you think it's just that now because he's older, he can no longer? It almost appears to me like his addiction has really taken him out. His addiction to women and alcohol and everything else ultimately bankrupts him. And I mean, he appears to be. They all appear to be aging addicts. You know, the old nightclub scene. You know, the people that grew up watching Frank Sinatra and taking amphetamines and gambling until 4 in the morning, and you know, the club scene, popping pills, hanging out with, you know, exotic dancers. I mean, it's that crowd. That was also the Playboy Mansion crowd too, when you think about it. Remember the whole Playboy Mansion, and now they're doing all these internal investigations. And I'm like, when I went in over that property, I'm like, bring in some cadaver dogs, because that property has some questionable history. You know, so again, it goes back to, it's an era that it's that toxic masculinity that's kind of dying away also. I mean, there's another way that you could look at it. Yeah, Joel, you know, the phony baloney, in the sense that a lot of people wondered, did they make anything? What they sold was the brand. And so they got companies to build hotels with their money, and then they would advertise, they would advertise the name, and then they would get a cut of the sale of the hotel because they were selling the name. So they weren't building anything. Um, Yeah, so a company, like say a Russian company, was going to come in and pour massive amounts into a Panama in order to be a shell company and hide money. And then you put the Trump name on top. They pocketed a bunch of the money, and then you had your daughter out there posing, buy a Panama condo, Trump hotel, you know. And that's kind of how the uh, game seems to have been played, as they say. Cheers. Let's switch cards and try the Dreaming Way. I just got these. These are also Lenormands, based on the Lenormand system. I have to say, the Dreaming Way Tarot. I got these. Please visit Edge of the Circle Books in University District. University District, yes. Go see Robert. Yes. University District, Seattle. Give him some business. But anyway, the Dreaming Way, absolutely. I think they're some of the most beautiful cards that I've seen. I bought several decks when I was on vacation. Um, and these were one of the decks. I just think they're so lovely. Yeah, it was a kind of it was a kind of money laundering. I mean, as people, you know, surviving this, I mean, that's one way we can look at it, right? We are kind of like Trump survivors. What amazes me, I just can't get over how many right-wing people who say they support Israel that are like Trump, and are still, because he moved the embassy to Jerusalem. It's like, who cares? It's an empty win. What does it matter if he pulled US troops and left us as sitting ducks? And being so wrapped up in your religious fantasy, you don't see that there's something more important, which is called the Western Alliance. And but we got an embassy, you know, like yeah. So that's interesting. You like the sound of my phone? Oh, thank you. We were going to ask a question, and I can't remember what it was. So, is anybody worried about Trump running in 2024? Does anybody think that he could pull it off, even though he's never won anything? Do you feel like he has lost support, gained support? Do you think he's mentally declining? Um, do you anticipate him being on every single ballot? That's another question I would ask. Is he going to be on the ballot in every single state? Is he going to be on the ballot in Pennsylvania? I don't think he stands a chance in hell in Pennsylvania now, but I'm just curious about Trump's cards overall, where he goes. Oh my. This is not gonna, I don't think this is going well for him. I think he's gonna lose this case. They're delivering news to him that breaks his heart. Here's the letter or verdict. Here's the writer. A star comes. That's good news for him. It could indicate that he gets. Oh, see, his business is over. You can see here they deliver the news that the business is over. The cross. His heartbreak. I think it was over. The heartbreak. He feels whipped. He feels whipped. You can see heartbreak. He's whipped. The boy is whipped. The news from the verdict is bad news. The clouds over the verdict. Yeah. He's not doing well at all. You know what? He is probably going to agree to a lesser sentence to avoid more serious prison time. But his career is over. His kingdom is over. He will also have to agree not to run or something like that. You can see here the writer delivers the bad news. Here's the cloud of the message, the letter. Here's the writer delivering it. Here is a ring, which is an offer, right? However, over the stars, he got lucky. There's still the tower. So his career is over. His business is over. So there you go. No career. What is going on? Why is everybody texting me during the live? Everybody knows I'm on it Thursday. It's very strange. I don't know. How do you guys feel about that? It looks like most people are agreeing to be, I really have a problem with this. So what are they saying? Are they what the cards seem to be saying that everybody gets off, they get wiped out financially, they plead guilty, they get wiped out financially, and they get a lesser sentence. That seems to be what these cards are saying. I don't know. That's not good enough when when people have died in a civil war that you tried. I mean, like in a case of civil unrest where you literally try to overthrow the government is getting extra taxes and not being able to run again and maybe house arrest, or I don't think he's going to be able to do a house arrest at this point. But that doesn't seem like justice by most people's standards. You know what I mean? So I didn't hear anything about any new news about George Santos, but what's interesting is that McCarthy and other people are saying that I don't have a problem with him. I mean, to have your party be so weak in Congress that you would have somebody you would be so desperate. I mean, like, that you'd be so desperate for votes that you would actually let somebody like that represent your party. I think that speaks volumes about the ethics of their party. But of course, you are entitled to your own opinion, but that is my feeling about it. Oh, you can just go back to the beginning, Jennifer, and hear it. I sung Geordie. It was quite a lovely little ditty. Yes, very pretty song. I like her music very, very much. Well, you got to try different types of music, and Joel, good question. Which which oligarch is going to replace Putin? All right. As you can see, Hanukkah came early for a little whimsy. That was the dreaming way. And now we are moving on to Nicoletta Tarot. These are smaller. They might be difficult for you to see. They are a lovely card, though. You can see they're quite lovely. Yeah, so we'll give it a whirl, shall we? Now, I keep saying because he's bringing up some really good points. Joel asks, is Putin a meth addict? Something's looking like that. Yeah, I gotta say, something's looking a lot like, yeah. I'm more inclined to go there than Parkinson's. And if you had that and, make something up and say, oh, the dear glorious leader is having dying any day now with Parkinson's. Meanwhile, he's just juicing for his medicine, his cocktail or something. Because not to spread false rumors, but when you go into his energy, I swear, I'm like, is this guy shooting up? I mean, what is his story? Yeah, I want to. Let's just look at that one issue. Is he? I'm not the only one that's starting to pick on that. Like other people who are see, I went to medical school, believe it or not. It's hard to believe. No, you start to see things like certain twitches, and there's certain things we look for in Parkinson's, for example. That's why when I looked at Trump, I didn't see the neurological stuff. I saw somebody had probably been on amphetamines, couldn't sleep, was wired, and might have taken benzos to come down, which is a very common cocktail for people in the entertainment industry. They get wired. They have to be up counting money at 6 a.m, right? Then they have to go to sleep. And so at weird hours, so they'll pop some sleeping pills, and then they have to give a speech maybe at 10, and the benzo or the Ambien hasn't worn off. And so the person starts to slur. So that's more of what I saw with him. Let's take a look. Because, Parkinson has very specific things. We look for like pill rolling, a forward walk with the dominant foot, the way you will often. He didn't have any of the classic symptoms. What he had the symptoms for was amphetamines. If you're just talking, I'd be curious what other people think about that. Like, Linda's as a nurse, so and she's treated both. So it'd be interested. She might disagree with me, but that's what I see. I don't think this guy's going to do good at all. The bottom line here is that there is a feeling in Russia that a lot of people have died. People are not getting the news the way Russia is getting the news. I mean, we're talking about a lot of young soldiers dead. You have this Six of Swords energy coming in, right? And trying to come out of potentially a very difficult situation for Putin, but I mean, we're seeing almost like dead children imagery and body bags from all the soldiers. This is imagery of Nine of Wands, trapped, Three of Swords. These are cards of just feelings of trapped. Nine of Swords, betrayed. Two of Swords, refusing to see the conflict. So all of these cards, first time I'm surprised at all the swords. I shuffled really well. It seems to be these are swords are often swords of truth. They slice the truth, but they often have an aspect of the military or war. And when you look at those cards, you can't help but feel like what they're saying is that the people, everybody knows someone whose child has died, grandchild has died, and there are so many bodies coming back that it has really begun to, and so many good people have left the country that it's unlikely that he can recover his reputation at this point. How do you feel about that? Is anyone surprised by those cards for him? I definitely don't think the oligarchs are happy with him because he trashed the economy. You know what I'm saying? And I think that people say, oh, they're surviving, but I really think it's window dressing. I mean, there's no replacement when you've lost the people that the people that have died in the war. It's just so tragic. Joel says, what do we think? Is Scott Perry the tip of the iceberg? What do you all think? I think so. I think the bigger issue when you think about today and what we saw was how can they make a deal? Some of them wind up with tax problems, etc. But it seems to me that it's too little too late. You know what I mean? A lot of people are pretty disgusted. At the same time, maybe they're gathering intelligence, which is vital. All right, we'll switch to the extra large cards because that's your guys' favorite. So here's another one. Do you think that Tubberville is compromised? Does he have a financial investment in something what do you think? What's your feeling about it? Why would he be so obstructive? What do you think? Why would Tubberville be so? Let's find out. It's almost like a religion for him, huh? What is he fighting for? The brain drain, and what's left is religious extremists and warmongers, right? And then what do you have? You have another extremist cult with a dictator like North Korea. He's in trouble. I don't know what happened to this guy, but look at this. He's going to be stopped. Knight of Pentacles would indicate that he's going to be stopped. Confusion all around. So there's also some confusion about what he's doing. So even his own people don't totally understand this guy. Hopes and fears. Wow. Wheel of Fortune. For some bizarre reason, this guy thinks his time is up. And the other thing that's interesting about Tubberville is he's got a 9 of Swords. And that tells me that something is going on with this guy, that he is in serious trouble. Otherwise, why would he have so much anxiety? There it is again. It's his money. Oh my God. Same freaking thing, you guys. Look at clarification in his cups. They're looking at his money. Look, money. So I'm just curious, does anybody know about Tubberville's potential relationship with like foreign money? Why? I'll show it to you again. He's in his cups. His career is over. He knows it. Something karmically is going on. Something happening very quickly. An investigation into money stresses himself out. The power over him is federal financial. He's screwed. He's screwed. What happened though? I don't even know. Does anybody know anything about this? Look at that. Magician clarifying the feds over his money. They're all, it goes back to, you know what it does? It goes back to the remotes, doesn't it? About Robert Mueller saying it will wind up on the Capitol steps. Now this is the example. There it is. Look, stressing out about here's his opposition that had power over the issue of where he got his money. So it is what it is. Yes, another one, Florida offshore. Where the hell these boats, right? What was the story with the boat? A way of doing what? Number one, hiding money, right? They just took one of Putin's boats, and his main boat got taken. Now, in some cases, they dismantle as much of the electronics as they can. But in a lot of cases, the feds have been, well, that's the thing. Remember, we talked about the fact that when the feds confiscate, because when we did a remote and we were doing quick technique HCRV, which is a remote viewing technique where you actually are allowed to use cards as triggers. He showed us the 3 of Wands, and the message we got from Robert Mueller was, I got to get on those boats. So what he was saying is that there are mega boats and there's some dirty dealing going on and there's some wheeling and dealing, and I got to get on and I got to find out what's going on. I got to know what they're talking about because there's some offshore money going on. And sure enough, that's what happened. The mega yachts, there were these illegal deals. People were not paying their taxes. The Queen of Pentacles shows up, right? The feds, the money, right? So everybody started to abandon their ships. They were also removing ID on the ships, right? So nobody knew who the ship belonged to. In some cases, they were blowing the ships up, right? Because they couldn't destroy the electronics. So they just blew the entire ship up. And so periodically you find ships just like on fire, right? I mean, my gosh, it's all so dramatic, isn't it? And then we of course, psychics employed the orcas. Yes. Come along, orcas, finish the job. Yes. They are scum. They don't pay their taxes. Send the orca fleet. So the orcas surround them, chip away at their gas-guzzling mega yachts. Our allies, the orcas, yes. So it's bye-bye to the mega yachts. You know, could they even afford them? You know, it was all freaking. Who knows where the money was coming from? It's like those kids that got arrested that were bringing in cocaine and they were stealing mega yachts, and the mega yacht people didn't even care because they just go buy another one. I mean, it's just the pure insanity of what's been going on in Florida. I mean, it's just absolute insanity. Okay, one more question before we close. Oh, it's already 6 o'clock. Are we going to see another coup attempt for, God, don't you hope so? Not a coup attempt. I don't want anyone to suffer, but come on, we got to get Putin out of there. A coup attempt for Putin. Let's take a look. This is our last question. Yeah, I think so, Joel. You always ask the best questions. I will show you. He will be dismantled. Again, fairly easy cards to read. I'll show them to you. Transformation, death over him. Ten of Pentacles, the family, inheritance. It can also be the negative aspects. Chatter in the family, gossip, dark, dirty family secrets. So his family's not happy with him. If you're looking at the dark aspects, it's over. The light is coming out, but you can see here very clearly the final outcome for Putin is the Five of Pentacles, which is to disarm the enemy. So yeah, he will be removed from power. That is what we see, my dears. That was fun. It was a fun day today. All right, love and light to you all. Thank you so much for your patience. If you're trying to get in for a reading with me, you can check me out on Booksy. I offer phone readings. If you need me to do a pre-taped reading for you, you can find that information on Wizio. All my information is described in the channel description along with all that information. Thank you so much, Debbie Brady, for the beautiful designs. And also check out our fan pages over at Facebook. Remember, once a month we pick a fan, and if your name is called, you get a free reading with me. Also, check out the merch. I guess that's all I got to say. Thank you for being your wonderful selves. Be kind to all so that all can be kind to you too. Stay safe. I'll see you later. Arrivederci.